Over the past few years, I've earned 2 master's degrees, a medical degree, built a thriving social media business, and still found time to be with my family, take care of my health, and actually enjoy life. Here's the kicker. I've never had a second brain, I don't have a complicated productivity system, and I don't spend hours every week color coding to-do lists. I'm telling you that not to flex, but because I want you to know that there's a better way, a simpler way, and a smarter way. Because somewhere along the line, productivity stopped being about actually getting things done and turned into a full-time job. You've seen it. Notion dashboards with 42 tabs, overbuilt systems that take more time to manage than the actual tasks themselves. People selling aesthetics and structure over substance and results. And we reward it because it looks impressive. I'm here to tell you that that kind of productivity is a trap. And in this video, I want to show you what actually works. How to become so good that you don't need 17 apps to hold your life together. How to be ready to perform at a moment's notice and still have that life that feels calm, creative, and free. This is what I call anti-productivity, and it might just be what you've been missing. Here's the truth most of the productivity world ignores. The goal isn't to look productive. The goal is to become the kind of person who can deliver when it matters. And that comes down to skill. Not a prettier calendar, not a more complex note-taking app. Skill. The reason you don't see a million videos on this? Well, it doesn't look quite as pretty. You can deliver productivity in a nice silver-wrapped bow. But teaching someone how to be incredibly effective when it matters? A little bit harder. But I want you to trust me. This will set you apart from the rest. This video is packed with amazing tips all the way to the end. So, let me tell you what works. Focus on radical effectiveness. And what that means is, instead of observing how to organize my life, I got good at showing up and performing in the moment and execute. I trained that. And I'll give you 2 things that helped me more than anything. Number 1, I trained my brain, literally. And I'm not talking about all the apps that you see on Facebook ads. I use something called dual and back training. It's one of the only brain training protocols that has actually been shown to increase working memory and problem-solving ability. I've seen it in myself. I think faster, I focus better, I make decisions quicker and more clearly. And that's not from some productivity system, that's from mental reps. Not only have I seen this in myself, I've seen this translate across countless people and it has changed their lives. Dual and back has actually been highly researched, and there's a lot of quality studies out there proving its effectiveness. Essentially, it's like a gym for your brain, and it works. So what did I do next? Well, I practiced performance. Radical effectiveness isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters, doing it fast, and doing it well. So I practiced doing deep work, even in short bursts. I practiced making fast decisions. I practiced switching gears quickly without losing clarity. I also practiced when you don't want to do something, just diving in head first and getting it done. It sounds basic, and it is. It's incredibly simple, but it's not incredibly easy. And the wild thing is, when you train to be effective, you no longer need a 40-tab Notion dashboard to get through the day. You become the system. Let me say this clearly. The obsession with productivity is making life worse for a lot of people. Everywhere you look, there's another person telling you to build a second brain, or master the para method, or track every minute of your life, or turn your to-do list into some aesthetic project. And sure, those systems can work. But here's the thing that they don't tell you. Most people end up spending more time organizing their lives than actually living them. This isn't a shot at the productivity people out there. What they're teaching does have benefit. Staying organized is helpful. But so many of these overcomplicated tools and this hyper obsession with productivity is becoming so detrimental to people. I'm going to say the one thing that I don't see anyone else saying. Many of these people teaching you about how to be productive, their entire career rides on being productive. And I'm not saying that they're not productive. I'm sure they're incredibly efficient. But their full-time job is to sell you the best looking Notion dashboard. Those take more time to optimize than just doing the task. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but if you've tried any of these things, I think you'll understand. It becomes a black hole of constant tweaking. Let me just build the perfect workflow, or let me just reorganize this task list again. And by the time you're done planning, your energy is gone and the actual doing never happened. It's the illusion of progress. It feels productive, but it's actually just avoidance dressed up in nice fonts. And this is where it really starts to hurt. All that energy you could be using to connect with people, to move your body, and to enjoy life. It gets funneled into this endless self-optimization spiral. You weren't built to be a robot. You were built to do meaningful work, live deeply, and enjoy the small things. You were built to perform, not just plan. What matters is actually being present, doing the things that are meaningful to you, and feeling alive. Hyperproductivity might look good online, but it's stealing people's time, creativity, and peace. And it's time that we called that out. So now that I've spent ample time tearing down the overhyped productivity systems, let me show you what actually works. What I personally use every day to stay organized without losing my creativity or joy. And just to be clear, I run multiple businesses. I'm a doctor. I create content. I'm in a wonderful relationship, and I still have time to breathe. And I do it all without spending hours a day inside of some productivity dungeon. Let's get into the tools. Let's start with something so simple that it feels wrong to call it a system. Google Tasks. Here's how I use it. And no, I'm not going to be making separate videos on all these things to drag out views. Quick, concise, actionable. That's how we roll here. So here's how I use it. If something comes to mind, an errand, a reminder, a deadline, I type it in. One line. Done. It directly connects with your Gmail and Google Calendar, so your tasks can live where your life already is, and there's zero friction. That's the beauty. You don't need 7 color-coded priority tags and a Kanban board just to remember to pick up your dry cleaning. You just need a place to write it down fast. People forget that every second you spend managing your productivity system is a second you're not actually doing the thing. Google Tasks is clean, minimal, and efficient. You're welcome to use Apple Notes too. But the thing I don't like about that is you actually have to go in and turn it into a to-do list format. I just keep Google Tasks as a widget on my phone, and it's just right there. Boom, to-do list. I use it for everything from video ideas to groceries to patient follow-ups. And because it's so simple, I actually use it, which is more than I can say for 90% of the fancy apps out there. So let's talk about the second tool that I use. It's called mem.ai. I would call it the second brain that doesn't eat your life. You've probably heard about people bragging about building a second brain in Notion or Obsidian or things like that. And listen, those apps are great, but let's be real. The average person spends hours building dashboards instead of actually creating anything. Enter mem.ai. This is the only note-taking system that I've found that uses AI to organize your thoughts for you. No folders, no dragging, and no dropping. No endless formatting. Yes, I know other apps use AI, but I haven't found a single one that you can just type something in and dump it and you can find it later. You write, it organizes. You need it later, search for a few words and it pulls it right up. It even understands the context. Here's how I use it. I jot down ideas for content, book quotes I love, health studies I want to revisit, quick thoughts after seeing patients, all in the moment. I even use it to study. I can get questions or articles and put them in there in 2 seconds. It's so quick. Pro tip for all the students out there, by the way, if you do that, you end up getting a pretty long list. You just copy paste that into Google Notebook, generate a podcast from it, and boom, you can just listen to all your notes while you drive. You're welcome. So anyways, but what I can do later is once I've typed all these things in, I can then search burnout insights or morning routine ideas, and Mem brings up every relevant note. Do you know how easy that makes things? And yes, I'm aware, other apps like Notion have that, but you had to organize it first. This tool has saved me from dozens of lost ideas and helped me actually use things I'm learning in real time. The third one, and one of my favorites. This is so simple, you're probably going to be pissed off that you didn't know this. Let Gemini be your AI calendar assistant. Yeah, it's like Google's version of ChatGPT. Trust me. This is one thing that I found that most people don't know that they can do. Gemini is Google's AI assistant, and it is deeply integrated with Gmail, Google Calendar, and all of their other tools. This is incredibly helpful for all of us that use the Google Suite. This assistant can do way more than just answer trivia questions. Let's say you've got a rough schedule in your notes or a text thread about dinner plans. Just copy paste that into Gemini and say, add this to my calendar with reminders, and it will. No clicking, no dragging, no formatting. It understands natural language. It's like telling a personal assistant to do it. I'll give you an example. My girlfriend actually types out her day hour by hour in Apple Notes. Borderline red flag. It looks chaotic, but it works for her. And that's the most important thing. Honestly, as you can tell, I'm all about simplicity and effectiveness. So if it works for her, I don't have any intentions of changing that. But we're really coming to a point where it's beneficial to have a shared calendar. This is really helpful for our opposing work schedules and events that we have. So instead of just rewriting all of that into Google Calendar, she just screenshots her note and sends it to Gemini. Boom, fully scheduled the entire week. Have your next 6 months of work scheduled out? Send it to Gemini. Do you understand how helpful this is? It interprets the image, figures out the time slots, and builds the events automatically. It's like having a virtual assistant who's never late and doesn't need a salary. And yes, you can do this on the free version of Gemini. Now, let's talk about another time suck, and that's email. If email stresses you out, you're not alone. I have found a tool that has helped me reclaim hours of my week, and that tool is Superhuman. Yes, Superhuman is a paid tool. And no, this is not an ad. But if you deal with a ton of email, whether you're a doctor, entrepreneur, or just busy, to me, it's worth every penny. The whole concept of this is to get to inbox zero. And yes, it is incredibly achievable. What makes it different than just regular Gmail or Yahoo is it's blazingly fast. You can fly through your email with shortcuts. That's the whole concept, is there are keyboard shortcuts. It shows you insights on the person emailing you. And most importantly, it has built-in AI to write replies for you. It also auto-sorts your emails based on AI's categorization of them. You can use AI to make summaries of the emails before you read them. Essentially, you can get a TLDR of every single email you have. Let's say someone sends you an email pitching you something. You just type the sentence, "Decline kindly, but keep the door open." And it drafts a respectful response. All you have to do is click approve. I use it on the go. I use it between patients. I use it when I'm wrapping up a content shoot. It feels like I have a full-time assistant handling my inbox. And for what I do, that is a massive win. I would have loved to have only mentioned free tools here, but I feel like if I just mentioned one paid tool, it's not that bad of a video. I'm here to show you the things that actually work and what has given me the best experience. And these tools are essential to my workflow. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I probably spend less than 10 minutes a day handling all of these things. But I want to get to the heart of all this because none of the tools that I mentioned actually matter unless you've built the capacity to get things done. You can have the best productivity system in the world, but if you're mentally sluggish, distracted, or burned out, nothing moves. It's what I talked about earlier. You've got to get things done, and I'm going to teach you how. Number one, radical effectiveness. This is my golden rule. I trained myself to be radically effective. That doesn't mean being busy all the time. It means when it's time to focus, I can focus. And it means when it's time to rest, I can actually rest. Now, part of this is learning how to pick the tasks that are actually important and do them for the day. But that's probably a whole separate video. But the way I got here is by dropping the obsession with perfect planning and instead learning how to act quickly with clarity. This starts with asking better questions. The question isn't, how can I organize this? The question is, what's the next right action that will actually move this forward? Most people get stuck in the loops of prepping and planning. I started practicing execution, even if it was messy, even if it wasn't perfect, because speed compounds and momentum is more powerful than perfection. I also trained my brain like a muscle. I mentioned this earlier, but I want to recap it because it's so important. No one will talk about this in the productivity world, but you can literally train your brain to think better. Think about how profound that is. I mean that literally. One of the best tools I've ever used is called Dual and Back. I know it sounds like a weird tech startup, but it's not. Hear me out. It is a scientifically backed brain training method that improves your working memory, it improves your focus, and it improves your problem-solving skills. Studies have shown that it can actually increase your IQ, and I don't throw that around lightly. And yes, it does transfer out of the game to real-life activities. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes a day. It's hard. It kind of sucks. Do it for a few months, don't miss a day, and your life will be changed forever. When I started doing it consistently, I noticed it got easier to hold ideas in my head, to juggle complex thoughts, and to make decisions faster. That directly translated into getting more done with less stress. It really is that simple. If you're serious about becoming effective, not just organized, add this to your routine. It's like lifting weights for your prefrontal cortex. Let me in with this. Most of what you see online about productivity isn't real. Not because it's fake, but because it's built for content, not for life. It's polished, it's aesthetic, it's complex enough to feel useful. But here's the truth. Productivity is not how well you organize. It's about how well you can deliver. It's about being sharp, clear, unblocked. And honestly, it doesn't come from complex systems. It comes from skill. Your success will come from being someone who can execute, someone who can show up, focus, and deliver, even on the hard days. So if you've felt overwhelmed by second brains and fancy to-do apps and 3-hour morning routines, let me be your permission slip to stop. Consider it doctor's orders or something. Strip everything down and get clear on what matters to you. Use simple tools that support you, not ones that you need to maintain like a second job. Build yourself, not a prettier calendar. Because the truth is, the most effective people aren't building complex systems like this. They're finding organization in simplicity. They're the most resilient, they're the most focused, and they're the most ready. If this resonated with you, drop a comment and let me know how you're actually going to simplify things in your life. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more awesome videos on how to get you living your best life. And as always, I'm Dr. Matt Jones. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.